Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? Sound check, sound check. Check. Thank you. All right. Wednesday again. Josan, all fine. Thank you for subscription. 11 months. Awesome. Thank you. Thought someone's voice behind me. Yep. Loud and clear. Check-a-boom. Alright, so it's Wednesday again, guys. Time is flying as usual. Feels like I'm streaming almost every second day or so. It's nuts how time flies when you're working on exciting things and are constantly busy. So how are everyone doing tonight? Yeah. So let's see. So yeah, we've been working on several things simultaneously now. As you know, we are slowly but steady getting closer to one of the big anticipated contents. The TC patch. Are we getting DDoS or what are you saying? Take a look. Yeah, quite unfortunate obviously with some certain individuals that simply don't want to obey to the world we live in and follow the same rules, right? And yeah, we've been spending quite a bit of time on dealing with that also, as you know, which is obviously stealing a little bit of time from our current schedule we have planned for. So yeah, service is running, but possible DDoS, I would say. Cool stuff, you know. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Sorry guys, I'm just fixing one thing before we can continue. Sup, Hendog. Good evening, Henrik and all. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, we're getting some suspect DDoS. So we are slowly but steady progressing in that field as well. We were planning to have a few scheduled sessions on that closer to Epic Game release, but we seems to have to do it now instead of later. So, you know, trying to reschedule or rearrange the schedule a little bit to be able to handle what we have planned. But yeah, always something we have to be prepared for adapting. But we should have most things under control currently. But yeah, there are some specific attacks that makes it makes clients getting some DC sometime, but we are improving it. It gets better and better. Molva armor when? We actually have a little sneak peek today that I would like to show you guys. So you will see how that's been progressing. Um, sneak peek color buff. No. When FSR and AMD card users. We will see. I think we took a small peek on some of that support for Unreal Engine 5. And it seems like it's in a good position. So we may have that available for Unreal 5 transition. All right. Yeah, I saw quite a few clients being disconnected with some specific traffics, so they should be able to continue. No, we are aware. We are aware. Don't worry, we are working on it, and it will soon be fully under control. Just sad and pathetic, but it is what it is, right? And we will deal with it. Like I said, we plan to do more of these types of session focused on the server structure closer to the Epic Game release. So we are rearranging a little bit to make some of that happen now instead. Obviously pushing a little bit on the TC, but yeah, it's necessary. Jake, what up? Thumbberry, how's it going? Milan's Bard. Yeah, it's been awesome to follow the progression so far lately. A lot of people streaming and having fun, discovering elementalism. And yeah, quite a steady growth on the population still, so that's awesome to see. Everything moving in the right direction. No, the server isn't crashing, it's DDoS. So yeah, some clients get disconnected. We are still working on making sure that you won't be affected. The server is not down, you can relog eventually. We're getting DDoS. But yeah, just relog back and things should go back to normal. We are fully aware of it, and those are some of the last things we are working on to get in a better position so we are ready earlier rather than actually closer to Epic Games. No, the server is running. We got some disconnects from several clients due to DDoS. But yeah, anyway, let's continue. Right. So yeah, we have I managed to get a little screenshot that I wanted to show you for today's a little sneak peek. Again, we are slowly getting closer to a little bit more exciting stuff to show. But yeah, I managed to get at least one little sneak peek. So those tag settings are very good this week, man. Congrats. Yeah, like I said, we are not close to any capacity limitations. We have, you know, we are seeing the reward of expanding the server network capacity, and it's just exciting to see. Player population is slowly growing, and we are reaching some interesting numbers, and still don't see any bottlenecks or heavy load on the certain areas on the servers. So it's exciting to see. And yeah, obviously, you know, we need to remember again, it's one world setup. It's not multiple servers, which, you know, most other MMOs are. Robase, hey, Mr. Henrik, good to see you. Good to see you. Saw an info Discord that you told about wipe. No, no. We have no reason for wipe. We discussed it many times and also explained the full picture of what that means and entails and what this game is about. And you know, we are in the early beginning of things. We haven't really got to the currencies and items that will start the next era of the game that many are waiting for, and that is starting with the Epic Game Patch. The TC patch, and then also with the Epic patch later after that. We're going to arrest the people DDoSing. If it's that simple, right? There's a case running, and we will just follow the procedure that we always do and have done in the past with successful results. But like I said, there's never any guarantees. We just simply do what we can following the laws and have those procedures in place. So we will see how everything progresses. So shall we take a look on our upcoming Molva content, for instance?
Oh my god, another one.
Oh my god.
Another one.
Got another one. Says The Rock. Thank you for Prime. Appreciate it. We are looking into exit lag. Like I said, we've been working on traffic stuff quite heavily latest weeks. So that's why there may be some change in there. No worries, mate. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. With FBI, I have you to catch DDoS. We are working with the FBI. We have been doing that in the past as well with successful results. But like I said, it's something that will be ongoing on the side of the whole development. Again, sadly, we have to spend resources on it, but it's something we always prepared to do whenever that arises. Slubbiest Joe, thank you for the gifts. Appreciate it. Can we have Joe on the next stream to tell him that he's great? I will ask him, see if he's up for something.
Another one. Another one.
He's been working hard lately, as you know, including weekends and nights due to specific assholes. But yeah, it is what it is, and I'm happy we are moving in the right direction. And Sebastian is also, you know, a bit more calm now when things are where it needs to be. But yeah, we have a very clear path moving forward for TC and Epic Games, both polish-wise and additional systems going in place to make sure that you will be minimized, affected by you know, external attacks and stuff. All right, let me show you guys a little screenshot that one of my artists managed to give me in the last minute here, just to show you a little sneak peek, because I know you guys have been asking a lot for the armors for upcoming pets content, and we have I have this little baby. Look at the details, guys. Look at the details. I think it's quite impressive.
Another one.
Another one. Quite impressive detail work, if you ask me. I hope you like it as well. Always we try to spend great care making them believable as much as it's possible, and make them obviously look awesome at the same time. That's a tank. That is the Molva beast. Obviously we have blurred out the actual animal honor so you can see the armor specifically. But yeah, I'm happy with it, and I hope you also guys like it. I think the artist done a great job as usual. No one really uses Molva. That will change, I think, especially also with TC. I do see Molvas being used, but yeah, obviously the common transportation is still horses, right? The more fast, efficient one. But the Molva is kind of two pets in one, quite sturdy pet that can fight quite well withstand quite a lot more damage than a horse, obviously, and with armor it will obviously be able to handle it even more. And like I mentioned before, it will be more and more important to have
Oh my god, another one.
heavy carry abilities starting with TC. So obviously a good mount could be a Molva. You can pack a lot of heavy goods on it while you also ride quite efficiently, and still a sturdy creature you don't kill as easily as a horse. So obviously we're gonna have the Campadon also. The Campadon won't be mountable at that state,
Oh my god,
but it will have
another one.
bags also, which is obviously the heaviest carry ability creature currently in the game. And yeah, like I mentioned before as well, we plan to have a quite huge overhaul update on Mila when it comes to points of interest, creatures, mounts, humanoids, bandits that are spread out on Milaland, much more than we have today. Obviously also with our increasing population, we see that hotspots are obviously more camped, and it's getting a little bit crowded on specific areas. So obviously we have that in mind as well, and have planned to expand on that additionally
Oh my god,
with the
another
epic
one.
approaching. New NPC city. No, we don't plan to add a new NPC city. With TC, we are expecting to see a lot player cities growing over Maryland. Are there any plans to add smells to the game? What do you mean with smells? There is what is called aggressive discovery factor on creatures, and which is hearing and obviously sight. But smell, I'm not sure if it makes sense. MO2 VR when? Sometime after Epic Games. As I mentioned, we have looked a little bit into it, and it's quite convenient supported. The tech is supported on Unreal Engine 5. We just need to make sure our user interface and those kind of hoods are rendered correctly. So sometime after there, again, also depending on interest, obviously. If we're gonna point out a few areas, we want to hear your voice feedback and votes on them. And depending on all that interest from the community, we will create the upcoming roadmaps with your votes directing the prioritized order of things. Robase, thank you for the bits. Thanks for everything, Mr. Henrik. You're the best. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. How do you get a picture of me up on screen? The Molva, what? Keeper Pro Crumbs. Did us wimps try to ruin the game? Meanwhile, the game is hitting record numbers of players every other day. The game is growing constantly. DDoS is a loser strategy. Thank you very much. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it was just a matter of where we were gonna cover this in time. We were planning to do it closer to the Epic Games, but we have to do it now instead, which obviously struggled prior a little bit with TC, but kind of expected, and we're getting it now rather than later. So yeah, we just need to go through it, and we have a very clear path. We know exactly what we need to do, and we're doing that. So again, thank you for all the patience when we have gone through some of that struggle a little bit earlier than anticipated. But yeah, server is stable. We have good control. And yeah, now we obviously are just making sure that the proper gaming traffic is respected and not crap traffic. Will there be a stress test before TC? So we have all but one network component live currently. We have yeah, it's actually like I said, paying for this kind of tests and services cost money, right? And now we're getting for free due to this kid or whoever. So there's always something good out of bad things. So we're taking the opportunity, obviously. So we make sure we do everything we can whenever he's DDoSing, so we get free stress services, which is awesome in one case. So thank you for that. But yeah, obviously, other than that, we want to make sure that you as a player gets minimal downtime or affected in a negative way. So yeah. So when is the VR coming out? I want to swing my arms like a tard. So in the first edition of VR support, we won't have what's called the controllers. What the hell are they called? Yeah, you know the controls, right? Tracking hand controls with hand movement. It will first be keyboard and mouse with VR rendering. So you still have to look around with your head and use your keyboard and mouse. That will be the first, quite straightforward how we make that happen. The next step is a much larger task to make actual hand controller being tracked and translated into an actual combat piece, which is quite much more time demanding. So that won't be in the first one, that I'm quite sure of, at least. I don't think the player base think it's awesome. What? Let's see. You wrote to Jake. Yeah, I missed some discussions here. Let's see. So it would be amazing if we could give friends to ride on our mounts. Yeah, there are a few things we want to add when it comes to expanding amounts. As you know, we have a huge list of all the creatures first of all to just go through over time to make them all mountable. We're starting with the most logical, effective ones, I would say. And then eventually we're looking at wagons and multiple mount types. So there will be more options over time, that's for sure. Just vision, maybe head tracking is nice. Yeah. That would be the first step. Head tracking and the rendering in VR, which is in itself quite mind-blowing when you step into Mortal Online and just move your head and look around. It's a jaw-dropping experience, especially the first time you do it. And just, there's so much game components in the game that actually also is awesome to just chill in VR. Sitting there socializing, playing games, having guild meetings. Excellent experience in VR. Just sitting there using VoIP and VR. It's a one-of-a-kind experience. Talking about one-of-a-kind experience, I don't know if you saw, but what was it, in Meduli or Bhakti? Someone was shooting firecrackers all over the horizon. It just looked awesome, like missiles flying in and firecrackers celebrating something. I saw it on a stream. Was it Nazori's stream, perhaps? It was just awesome. Awesome. One of a kind. Did you see the Bhakti bombing? I saw some suicide squads. A little video of that also. People are creative. It was awesome. Yeah. Looked really cool. It was at the bank, Henrik, the bank. Yeah, I'm referring to another case when they were shooting like these different elementalism spells over the city, and everyone just saw an army of these flying. It looked really, really cool from distance, and everyone looked up from different angles and saw this play. It was just awesome. Again, it's so cool, whenever players do these things, and it just gives a unique experience. It's really lovely to see. Please, dear God, Henrik, add VR support as soon as possible, even if it's just for it's still use. Yeah, like I said, so we will get it. The question is, again, we need to prioritize certain things. We're trying to pinpoint what the majority of player base wants first, and then we move down from that list. watch the back the bomb. I saw that also. Looked quite crazy. Do you want to see a little close-up of the details, by the way, on this arm also? The details is quite amazing. The artist never fails to impress the work they do. I can show you a little up close. Look at this little baby here. Look at the fine details. The fine details. Quite impressive, right? I'm doubting that I will pay for a subscription, but VR would change that. Well, yeah. Like I said, one of the beauty with this type of game is that there's so many different areas and it's such a personal taste of things, right? And like I said, some people may be here for the VR experience eventually. Some are here for the TC experience. Some are here for pure PvP. Some are here for exploring the depth of crafting and discovering things. So it all fits Mortal Online, and it obviously offers very different playstyles, which is one of the cool things with the game. And we all are in the same role, which is awesome. That seat doesn't look safe for male crouches. Riding a Molva that bounces. Well, the saddle is quite inspired from a horse saddle, believe it or not. So they have similar shape and size and all of that. So, if it works for a horse saddle, this should work quite similar. VR hurts your brain, just an unpopular opinion. Hurts your brain or your eyes or your balance, or what do you mean? Obviously it does add a little strain over time, right? And it all depends on how sensitive you are also. I remember the first generation of VR that I got my hands on. I got quite dizzy and felt quite ill within 20 minutes or so. But the first generation was quite bad in comparison to the latest generation right now that has solved a lot of that, screen door delay, latency issues that does add a lot to the motion sickness that you got from that the older generation. So I have one of the later generation, and I managed to run around and do quite hectical gameplay in those for like an hour before I feel that, oh wow, I'm exhausted, I need a little break from it. But as I said, you can play all type of tempo in Mortal Online. Just sitting down, having a guild meeting in your fortress, will be very impressive, and obviously that have minimal strain on your vision and being affected that way. Obviously when running around and fighting, that's a whole different ballpark, right? When is subscription be implemented? So the subscription is planned for when Epic Game Release happens. We don't have a date on that yet. We have one big patch before that, which is the TC patch we're working on. After that is the big patch, is the Epic Game patch, which is the time when we plan to enable subscription also. Everyone do have a month for free already, along with the game copy. So obviously it will be another month after that. This arm looks so cool. Would you guys change the heavy horse armor? It looks bad. So actually, we do agree that we looked a lot on the design, how we want to make this work for all the creatures in the game. So we're making a base design right now that fits all the creatures. They obviously will be heavily modified to fit actual anatomy, right? But this is actually our new, the new heavy armor type. So this one will be translated to all creatures, including horses, most likely. So yeah, they will change. And I do like this a lot. It feels a little bit more mortal, perhaps. The gritty, raw, very specific design. And then there will be obviously the medium and light version that are also based on this style. So this armor style will be in 3 sets: light, medium, and heavy, and it will be on all the creatures. And then we will make additional styles that have, you know, other base ratio weights, and obviously different type of styles. Could also be clade inspired. So yeah, I hope you will like this new style. This is so we spend a lot of time on this design, because like I said, the next step is when we have all the weights types of this style, we will create variation on it, or not variation, we're going to create version to fit all the creatures. So it will be much faster when this is finished, and this one is just finished now. But what I mean is, for instance, you will see this version be converted to a wolf, for instance, which means, obviously, with modification, it doesn't have the horns, right? But it will see the similar style for wolves, which means the artist just modify it to fit the wolf, and that's a much faster process. Now it goes back and forth between Adria, which is the creative director, and the artist that creates it, and then it also goes through the material artists, and when we are fully happy with it, it will be converted to over time all creatures that you can use. When will more creatures be rideable? I can't say exactly when that will be. I don't know. Again, so a lot of the questions obviously goes back to what does the majority of the player base want. So a lot of the question of when many of these features is actually going to be answered when we have the community discussion, where it hopefully gets clear to all of us that, okay, most people are on the same agreement when it comes to these features should come sooner rather than later. And if, you know, new mount types are on that list high up, that will pinpoint on the roadmap in what order those will come into the game. So you're actually quite in control of some of those questions. I want some to be implemented. In good time, with Epic, it will be eventually. TC is sieging Thievery. I mean, TC is obviously the one that we have promised that we want to have early in the game, which, you know, as I said before, had to be postponed because it would be a train wreck if we released TC along with some of the network core issues we had and experienced since release. With that fixed finally, obviously it allows us to commit to the TC content finally. So that one is a given one, right? There's no voting about that one. That's the big next one. However, there are a lot of TC content that we're interesting to see what are missing, or what would you like to see next when it comes to TC content. Like I said, there may be a lot of different services, NPC services, functions that ties to TC, more options to build your grand cities, more control if there's something specific missing, so you can run a successful city. You know, that's obviously something that it's a pretty much never-ending list, and we're quite sure that you will bring up a lot of good ones over time. And if it fits, we may build a TC patch built on that feedback. I can't say for sure if all elementalism will be in before TC. They're two separate things, right? So the people that are working on elementalism spells now, when it comes to VFX and balancing, they're working on that now constantly. And next to them, we have most of the team working on TC content, and we have a clear schedule, so we're not postponing TC for anything at this point. Obviously, the only requirement is server capacity and stability, right? That's the only thing, so we make sure it works. And Elementalism will go into the game in any patch we see fit, which means it's not really scheduled. We may have a patch quite soon where you will get a new group of spells going into the game. So they're quite separate from TC. We don't see them all like, you know, match or go into one specific order, if that makes sense what I'm trying to explain here. So this Molva and bags. I thought I had a screenshot of the bags as well. How about I show you the bags, guys, on the Molva? Have I shown you that? You have? All right. So no need to show that again. But yeah, so those are finished. There's a while ago. Yeah, right. Okay. So a lot of the content are being finalized now, finally, when it comes to a lot of that content. But there's also a few things that needs to be confirmed balance-wise and code-wise, like how much can they carry, how many slots do they hold, stuff like that. And also we want to make sure we have proper control over the balance. I mean, some of these creatures can be quite tough, right? And we want to make sure that there's always a tactic to still be able to fight them or beat them, so they're not obviously impossible when you gear them up like this. And that there's also there can be some type of penalty, right? If you have heavy armor, it may affect the creature in certain ways compared to when they have light armor, for instance. What are your thoughts on increasing the party speed of elementals? Currently they are very slow and can be dodged easily. Yeah, so they are quite slow, yes, but also for quite specific reasons. So these projectiles are real server-based projectiles flying. Everyone see the same thing, and yes, obviously you can dodge them or step into them. So that means they are quite much more expensive than any of the ecumenical spells, for instance. And ecumenical spells you can pretty much spam into thousands without having any effect at all on the servers. While if you spam over 1,000 elementalism spells, you can start seeing that on the server. So we always have to be quite careful when it comes to that. And also, since we have a ping normalization system in the game that handle all the players' traffic, how you see it, how it gets synchronized. It's a quite complex system we built over the years that almost everything goes through. The faster rates we have on these projectiles, the more difficult this area becomes. And it can also be a little bit out of sync. You know, it can go through a collision a little bit and then explode. So it looks, you know, like a little bit worse. There are certain areas that get affected by increasing the speeds. However, we have identified that the propulsion group, we see the need that for it to be a little bit more effective, it could be increased in speed. But as I said, a few areas gets affected. We are on a limitation on the fastest spells already. But we have a different type of system that we can utilize on some of these groups that allows us to step into a new type of calculation that makes them faster and but gets calculated a little bit differently. So we may revisit that sometime after we leave the whole school if we see it's still necessary and if we see there's a big demand to have that kind of support on those spells. And if that's the case, we may want to convert those functions. But yeah, I still think it's a little bit too early to make the right calls there. We heard a lot of good feedback from players playing around with elementalism, and so far most of it is quite, you know, it's positive and people having a lot of fun. But yeah, it's, you know, balance is always a big challenge in these games, right? And we will all have different opinions in so many different areas. Like, you know, a fireball is quite slow. Yes, you can dodge them, but as you also notice, they're quite powerful and they have quite large AoE damage effects, and they can also put you on fire. So, and combined with you know, oil and stuff, it becomes even more dangerous. So obviously we are quite careful. If we speed them up a lot more, for instance, they will be 10 times more dangerous. So that's why we are not rushing to do any major changes at this point, when people are just finding, you know, playing around with them and actually learning how they work. We've seen a lot of cool videos where they just perform them spot on and it just looks awesome. When you see a battle and you see these roaming fireballs flying, it just looks awesome, right? It adds a lot of cool emotion and visuals to the battlefield, and obviously a layer of depth in terms of additional tactics and components. Melee OP, please nerf. Come on, man. Hints on the next element school. You mean the next group we're looking at? We're currently finalizing. What the hell is the name of it? Damn, I'm so bad at the names. they got their names quite late, and I haven't really learned them yet. I just have them in my old setup. But there are. You can control them, somewhat can control them. It's some of the big guns that you guys have been waiting for. The big guns, you know. So we have them in a good position, ready for also TC. Not entities. Now we're talking about different things. Animism is another magic school. I'm talking about the groups in elementalism, right? In what order of they're coming. Yeah, I don't remember the names of them. It's the one that you can control, you know. Release those big guns. Direction. Yeah, are they called direction? Maybe they are. So we are finalizing that group. So we are sure that we have that also ready for TC. And weather is dependent on that. So yeah, weather comes along with it. And the plans to make newcomers not feel like trash when trying to control walkers? Yes, we decided to remove the component that you have to first summon it and then control it. So when you do summon a walker, you will automatically have it on a control when it's summoned instead. You know, it's an overwhelming vote in that direction, and we agree. I discussed it with Mats and we were a little bit unsure. There was some room we wanted to see if that became a reality, but it didn't, and the players asked for this quite fast after. So to me, it's quite clear we want to make that change. We are first finalizing elementalism, and after that the plan is for the coder to go back to work on those spells and make those changes happen before we continue on new schools. Hello everyone, MO2 is playable alone. Yo, it is absolutely playable alone. It is a game that shines heavily though with player interactions in different forms. And it just makes the game very fun and exciting to interact. That's why we have an awesome one-of-a-kind VoIP system that just allows you to speak to the people that also have VoIP enabled as default. But yeah, you know, people will also say that this obviously a tough game to get into. The learning slopes are, you know, quite steep. A little bit like EVE Online. It takes a while to get into the game, and the world is dangerous both from players and creatures. But as soon as you learn and adapt to that, and also, you know what you safely can do and not risk all your valuables, you may get to like this one-of-a-kind world. We're also adding a lot more solo content, points of interest, and easy challenges spread out all over the world to make sure that wherever you go, there's always something to encounter, from solo to larger groups. Obviously, going for the heavy dungeons, you're looking at more group content, right? You know, going for bosses, you may want to have a group with you. There's also a very important component that we are adding to the game with the Epic Game release, Epic Game patch, which is handling the criminal system and balance with the nations and zones. And that is absolutely to make sure that new players don't get pushed out from the game from, you know, either bored players or just griefers. We don't want to have a game that are easily griefed just because, and we are losing players from it, and obviously the players in Mortal Online that cares also lose content because of that. Mortal Online is a game that obviously grows with different types of player interactions. I mean, no one is forced to play interactions, right? But it's a game that grows and thrive with a healthy population. And if we obviously push out new players as soon as they take a step into Midland and they get shocked and don't have a clue what's going on, they may give up before they actually get to know what Mortal Online is all about. We want to make sure that they get to the point that they get a taste for it and say, okay, this is what Mortal Online can offer. And after that, that's when they should make their decision, not due to one bad encounter way too early without knowing anything of the game. I mean, that kind of, you know, logical for all of us, right? And makes sense. And obviously it's our responsibility to make sure that that happens. We can't point players and blame players or whatever, right? It's obviously us that needs to make sure that the game can handle that. And along with that, obviously we want to make sure that those players that want to have heavy player interactions can get a lot of that in the right circumstances, you know, that makes it more valid for them as well. So over time, we have actually pinpointed a lot of these issues, and I think we have a very exciting pipeline ahead. So this is also what's it called? What is the phrase I'm looking for? When it's both good and bad. Damn, what is the phrase I'm looking for? Double-edged knife, right? So in one thing, obviously we want to keep getting new players, experience the game, and you know, get to see what the game is all about. Yeah, double-edged sword, exactly, not knife. But at the same time, we don't want to get too many in right now, because we know without this system in place, quite a lot of them gonna be so shocked and don't give the game a fair chance or even get to know what the game is really about. So it's a double-edged sword indeed. We want to reach that point as soon as we can, obviously, and then we're gonna push the marketing and open the floodgates for everyone, and hopefully we will see a big difference when it comes to new player interaction experience, and obviously should have plenty of areas for the veterans also to be occupied and having fun the way they want to play the game. So yeah, I think everyone will be quite pleased to see an update in the criminal system with proper consequences, and also some better room for new players to actually be able to get into the game in a good way. Also, how do I get stream role on Molva to Discord? There should be a thread about it when it comes to Twitch streamer and having the stream role. There's a few components you have to fulfill, and when that's done, you should be able to get that streamer tag. Shouldn't be too difficult. And if you don't find it on Discord, you can always reach out to one of the moderators, and they will most likely be able to assist with the information. how are you going to balance great walkers with the change to their summoning? So the change we're going to do is when you summon a walker, it's already on your follow command. It's already on a control. So you don't have to cast the control spell on top of that. That's one of the change we're going to do. It's going to be more fluid and smooth to obviously use your walkers, right? New players being able to identify murders is a big step. Adding red names back would be a huge leap. So, in most cases, a new player is fucked either way, right? If they run into a murderer or whatever veteran that wanna kill them, that's gonna happen. There's no way avoiding that if they're out there in front of a murderer, right? No matter what color you see on them. Obviously, over time, when they learn and they can adapt and escape and counter it, then obviously that's going to help, right? So yeah, we are actually looking at several updates to the criminal system, along with the zone rules being added to the game world. We are looking to possible change, so you will be able to see a tag if this is a big-time murderer. There are pros and cons behind them, and we tried both ways from Mortal 1, from UO and Mortal Line 2. So we are evaluating, trying to find the best system possible here. They all have pros and cons, I think. And no matter what we go, when we are on that path, there will always be requests on moving the other direction and vice versa. It was the same thing in Mortal 1. Mortal 1, we actually copied UO 100%. And people were not very happy. They complained non-stop on the cons with that system. Understandable so. It's an old system. It wasn't perfect in UO either, but it was the system we got to know back then, right? That played it. So people felt at home, obviously, having the same rules in Mortal 1. But like I said, there's a lot of things when people say, well, how the hell do he knows that I'm a murderer? I murdered them outside in the world. How do they know that I murder? There's always these many questions that obviously are, arguing against some of the rules, right? But hopefully I think that what we have pinpointed with most of the data pointing towards and where the issues occur, I think we can have a pretty good upgrade that makes it more clear for everyone playing the game with the Epic Game patch. And some of it starts a little bit already with the TC patch. Obviously, as you know, we weren't sure about the bounty system, if that was going to work, but now when we see it's going to work, we just need to expand on it and finalize it. The point was that with those rights, you will see your bounty target as a red target, right? And know that you have the killing rights for that person, no matter where you are in the world. You're kind of a little bit above the law in common cities, right? And obviously, if everyone is running around with red names because they're murderers, it interferes with that one. Maybe we can have a different tone of the reds to separate them and still have some of that. But you see, there's several components that kind of struggle a little bit against each other's when it comes to finalizing some of those systems that people are looking forward to have finalized also, such as the bounty hunting system. Hello, Kalaneo. So make bounty target orange. Orange is your enemy flag. So we already use orange for declared wars. Any nation declared war enemy is orange. Being bounty hunted and banking sucks. Yeah, that's one of the consequences for going murderer, right? Casper Boom Man. One of the few, actually. Keep the new players in Haven till they're ready. That only works to a degree, because you only experience one side of the game on Haven, right? And that's, you all understand what I mean with that. It completely changes when you leave security out in the world, in a dungeon, and there's a crazy madman in front of you. They never get to experience that whatsoever, and they don't even know what that means and entails. How dangerous is it? How do you adapt from it? It's like, good day, I'm from space clueless at the first experience, right? So that's something players need to adapt to and learn and experience from. But we want them to do that without getting your face smacked, lose everything, get, you know, disgruntled from the game and quit the game. That's not how we want to introduce the new players. I don't think anyone, you know, would think that is a good idea. So obviously, again, it's our responsibility to make sure that a new player obviously have to learn that they will die, they will lose items, and they have to learn and adapt that the items doesn't matter if you lose them, because you can always replace them easily, either by yourself or using the market and play interaction, exactly what we want to promote, right? So, and if as long as they go past that and understand that, well, there will be murders, there will be people to hate, and it's also part of the game, right? Because if there's no one to be afraid of or hunt or fight against, you know, there's a little less interaction in that category, right? So it all fits. It's just that we need to make sure that a new player get to learn, okay, so this is how the game plays, and you can do all this and that, and I don't have to cry and think I lost all my hard work because I died and lost everything when I stepped out here, or, you know, if I forgot about how to use my storage and bank, that, you know, you shouldn't obviously walking around carrying all your goods or all your gold coins out in the wild. Kalain, got yourself a hoodie. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoy it. It has an amazing fabric. It feels awesome, that hoodie. I like it. I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you very much. So yeah, but I'm quite sure that 99% of all of us in here agrees and understand and acknowledge that it's important that we introduce new players to the game in a proper way, or as good as possible, to make sure that they give the game a fair chance before deciding, right? It's very important for the growth of the population. I mean, even though we're growing now, you know, it's very exciting to see. We also see that obviously there's a lot of new players that they don't get to see what the game has to offer. They don't have a clue what the game has to offer. You know, obviously if they haven't read up about the game, which also the majority doesn't do today. They just jump into the game, they watch a little trailer or something, and then jump into the game and expect it to be something MMO, WoWish, whatever they've heard from other players, right? So our responsibility to make sure that they give a pleasant introduction, and hopefully we'll get to taste a little bit of the depth in the various areas and see that this game has more to offer, more than just one single area of the game. Yeah. You literally send them into the game with hardly anything. Yes. I mean, it's also part of the MMORPG elements, right? You start weak as a nobody, poor, and then you start your journey. You learn, you educate, you gain knowledge, you get stronger, you get professions, you make money, you learn, make friends or foes. It's an amazing journey. And there are few games in the world that offer this in that degree that Mortal Lion offers it. I mean, in most games, it's like World of Warcraft. You're the hero, right? You're the one to save the world, and the next one behind you is the same hero, and you're always the strongest, best hero. It's not really Mortal Lion, right? You are a nobody when you start. You're not the hero, and that's quite the difference, right? But it's also one of the cool things, because you can be somebody and make a name for yourself, become famous, discover things no one else have done. You're the true champion when you go through these steps over time in Mortal Lion, and that's one of the beauty that we offer that, actually, you know. So, but it's a balance, right? Because everyone have learned from WoW. You are the hero. You're saving the world no matter what, even though you're first starting with killing a pig and then collect 5 flowers and so on. And the thousands of players behind you do the exact same thing. You're all losers, and we like it. I mean, you see what I mean, right? We start as nobodies, and then we can make a name for ourselves in different ways. And it's a beautiful thing, right? And it's cool to see players make a name for themselves and get famous for various things. It's awesome to see. And you file before Epic, please, to see it work fine. We have it in a step for the Epic Game patch. We have a pretty good schedule for that. So yeah, we will have it under control. I want them boats to come, then you better vote for boats after this roadmap. For information, I was the first player with the hero title in MO1. Once a hero, always a hero. Indeed, Temujin, indeed. But that's the thing, right? You didn't start as a hero. You made a name for yourself, Temujin. And now people know you for various reasons. Please no boats. Concentrate on easier things. I mean, boats won't be now, right? Obviously, we have a quite fully spec'd schedule up to Epic Game release. That is the first foremost thing we are 100% focusing on before anything else. After that, if we have everything under control, we're all happy with all that, that's when we can look at what should be added next. And that's something you will be involved with, helping us pinpointing. Will you be releasing the Unreal 5 version before Epic Game release? Another buggy release would be bad. So we have a plan where we transition to Unreal 5 before we open making the Epic Game release. So we're gonna run on Unreal 5 before that, and we're gonna enable the last visual options aligned with the Epic Game release. So it's just that, you know, more options pretty much to use the eye candy. So yeah, we have a controlled schedule for deploying Unreal 5, and then when we hit the Epic Game release, we should already be running on that. How is the transfer to Unreal 5 looking so far? It's slowly but steady been progressing since quite a while back now. We have a very clear working path what we need to do to make the transition. So we have solved the critical parts. There have always been a few question marks that, holy shit, how do we solve this? And that system is completely rebuilt or changed, and these parts are crashing our game. Obviously, going down that list, there have always been a question mark like, you know, how much is it and how time consuming is it? That's always a challenge, which we can always guess in the team. The good news are that we have solved all of those currently. We don't have any, you know, big component that's, you know, we're not sure how long time it's going to take to make it run or solve it. So that is obviously a big relief. The next part is just grind work, which we artists are already working on as well. And that is preparing and optimizing all cities in the world, all biomes in the world, and how we stream the levels are being reworked. What that will give us is overall better FPS when playing the game, and also less stuttering and freezes when you travel the world, which you experience today. You know, if you just travel, you have probably learned that there are specific locations and lines that you pass, and you will notice a big stutter or freeze. Callian donated, holy shit, $100. Are you crazy, man? Thank you very much. Thank you for all you and your team do. I appreciate it a lot. That is very, very kind of you. And as I said, all of the donation and merchandises that you purchase goes obviously straight back to the development, making the game as good as we possibly can. So thank you for all your support, guys. I appreciate it. No lines are not those ones. No matter how many times I explain the difference between a node line and a level stream, you know, it will always continue being the comment, it's the bad node lines, because it's just a thing in the community, and they all learned that, and they just continue repeating that. So we all almost given up in the dev team as well. All right, we just tag along. They call it the node lines. We know what it is. And we stop correcting. But it's understandable, right? We understand what you mean by it, and that's the important part. The only thing was that in the beginning, we as coders obviously goes 100% on the words, right? So if someone say node lines, you need to investigate this and that. The coders go to the node lines and investigate that code sections, and they like, there's nothing here that are described in reports. Well, no, because it's that level stream. Okay, that's a different thing. It's like saying car and dogs. But that's just how the game development is. My fluff. You like my fluff? So yeah, but it's understandable, right? So the node lines you don't recognize the same way. When you travel to a certain line and you gain freezes for seconds or a half seconds or even worse depending on hardware, that's a level streaming, and that is what we are rebuilding for Unreal 5. So those should be close to eliminated or obviously greatly improved, so you don't get that kind of experience when you travel the world. And of course, we all will benefit from greater FPS overall, right? I'm sure you noticed that some cities are quite horrible FPS-wise compared to others, and when you're out in the world, when you gain a lot more FPS. So we want to make sure overall we have a better FPS, including when you visit cities. So that's just quite straightforward work for the art team. It's just time-consuming because it's so much art to go through. Yeah. No line is server-side network data, streaming line is client-side data rendering. Yeah, pretty much Ranger Boy. That is pretty much described what it is. So that is the major difference. But yeah, people obviously are not fully aware of how these things works. And when they hear their friend says, oh, it's a bad node line, it's there forever. But yeah, we know what it is, at least what you are referring to, and we are working on solving it, which we will to a very good degree with Unreal 5. We already tested a few things of it, and yeah, it's a huge difference. It's so enjoyable to obviously not have that big freeze when you're traveling over certain lines. And obviously if you're on a battle during that freeze, it's quite horrible experience. So that's a big improvement, obviously. Just need microstarter to stop and unstable frame causing my input to get cancelled and my text to miss. Yeah, like I said, both these two things that I mentioned will affect exactly that. So yes, and that is why we have that as a high prioritized quality of life polish phase for that kind of experience for all players that will come with that Unreal 5 update. Can I have 30-50 more attribute points as a baseline than anyone else? No, it depends on the clade, and you will get a little bit more of that with upcoming veteran system. And there are the pool points. I said that before. A few of the clades are missing a few of the pool points. The one that are missing it the most, I think, is the Chorites and Callards, and then they're a little bit missing on some of the others also. So again, I can't say exactly when, but you can expect sometime in upcoming patches that those clades will get a little bit more stat pool. Alright, I'm falling behind a little bit, guys, so sorry. I'm gonna jump down a bit. What is TC? It's territory control. It's the big next content patch where you can construct your cities, set your laws, hire services, set your security systems, and siege others. Alright, let's see. Do you worry about Epic Games ruining the game in the future, like Sony has done? What do you mean, Kaleno? Can you explain? How would Epic Games ruin our game in the future? Please explain so I know how you mean. Because I don't see how they could. We have a very good relationship with them, and we know how they work and how they prioritize their functions based on their big games, so we always adapt our tactics around that rather than trying to be dependent on them. A good transition we have done over the years when we started working with them. PAX Day, isn't that a mobile game version also? I mean, made for mobiles, if I'm not mistaken. I thought I read that, which kind of defines the game quite hard, I would say. Oh. So they bought games and then made pay to play and such. Ah, you mean if someone buys Mortal Online to change it? Is that what you mean? Okay, so that's a different story then. Would Epic ever promo your game on their free game things they do? Yes. Well, you know, there's been some interested companies over the years looking at both our tech and Mortal Online, and we had some open discussions about various things and directions and how we would see the future. And obviously, as you know by now, we are very passionate about this type of genre we are making, and we have learned to be quite good at it, even though, again, you know, it shows that we are a small company. Obviously, we don't have those infinite giant resources that many other games has in the same genre. So there will always obviously be that challenge along the road. But what we see is a positive trend, right? We see, you know, the game moving in the right direction. We're growing and hopefully taking those next big steps and starting marketing the game again, hopefully with more resources, growing the team and, you know, pushing it slowly forward to the next level and trying to be in the frontier as a true sandbox MMORPG game. So obviously, there's interesting discussions, right, with various companies, and also we have learned also over the years experiencing how many big companies handle things and run things and do these types of games. And yeah, you know, obviously they look at the games that produce the most profits, and then, you know, how do they make that types of game or make it even better or copy it. And we're not as passionate in making pay-to-win games or theme park games with awesome stories. We want to make the players, the stories focused more. So just make an awesome sandbox with a lot of cool tools and just expand it into something unique. That's our approach more, to focus on proper game content and features rather than awesome storyline and level linear story, which most other MMOs are. So yeah, obviously, when it gets clear that they may have another direction, then it comes down to, do we want to sacrifice the roots of Mortal Online and make it something else? You know, should Mortal Online compete with games like World of Warcraft all of a sudden if they got billions behind it? You know, it's nothing that we are very passionate about, right? We don't need millions of players to make Star Vault extremely successful and add more resources and just take a giant leap forward and make sure we are always in the lead, period, for many, many years to come. We'll learn a lot and you know, through the struggle, got a pretty good view on a lot of this. And as I mentioned before, I know a lot of game developers and studios in the industry, both non-MMOs and MMOs. So I have a lot of good contacts, and, you know, there's been exciting discussions with some of them. So yeah, obviously it's a very specific questions when it comes to how would we like the future to look. Obviously my main goal is to secure Star Vault and its game for the future. I have a very set goal to make sure that Mortal Online should put, you know, this type of game on a world map, and with more and more players enjoying the game, so the game speaks for itself is obviously the main goal first and foremost for us. And along with that, there's always a growing interest of the game also often comes hand in hand with a growing interest from publisher and other giants. It's always gone obviously hand in hand. And a lot of that opened up with the stress test when everyone or a lot looked at the game, like even Asmongold, Lyric, the big streamers put the game on the map when it comes to publishers. Every publisher in the world kind of looked at the game then. So it was an interesting experience for sure. But like I said, we only need a fraction of players supporting our game to be very successful, because we are not that giant company with millions of costs every month. So a small profit very quickly generates a change for exciting future for Star Vault. And if we are moving in that direction already, then obviously we don't have that need to sacrifice game core features to give the game to someone else. It doesn't, it's not a thing then, right? Mick ASMR. How would you improve new player experience? Currently, some veteran players using griefing new players as their primary content. Yes, I did touch that comment a little bit earlier in the stream. I don't know if you were here then. But absolutely. We devs have the main responsibility to make sure that if someone is bored and griefing and wanna kill and the games allow it, then obviously it's the game's fault, right? As long as people are following the rules. So yes, we have identified these main areas where we need to change and improve things to make sure that we help a new player into the game in a much better way. And hopefully we also mean to give bored veterans the right way to have challenging, fun encounters, if that makes sense. Who will do such thing? Jake is one of them. A real son of a bitch when it comes to lurking noobs. I can't understand how you have it in your heart, Jake. You seem like a normal person when you stream, but then your action speaks for themselves very specifically. Son of a bitch. No, but again, I have to take blame for it because I allow the game function to make that happen, right? So I maybe also grown old to have the passion in my heart that I would never be able to do such horrible action towards a whole new cute Bambi players. I mean, they look like Bambi on ice, and it just bam! What the hell, Jake? Doesn't it look like Bambi on ice? They can't hardly even speak on their VoIP. They can't find the T until it's too late. So I just feel like guilt. I would never be able to do it. But yeah, when I see that people are doing that, then obviously I have to deal with it to make sure that we get those new players in a better experience joining the game. Because we all want more players to fight in the long run, either with or against or interact with, including you, Jake. You want that Bambi on ice to give you a cool experience down the road, even though you don't know it yet. But if you push them out already, they're never going to give that experience, and we're not going to have those players playing the game. And we need them. We need them. We need to invest in the long term here. This is a marathon. It's not a quick rush here. So it is Jake. Trust me, great fun. So with that said, I'm not blaming anyone but myself, right? It's our responsibility. So, and we have a good plan. We have a very good plan to make this work. And it is for the game's best, including Jake. It's become a running joke, indeed. Just give them a time buff after they leave Haven so they don't lose their gear. Obviously there are many ways, right? We are always careful about adding magical one-of-a-kind restrictions that apply a few times only or one time only, because it's not really how the game plays, right? So we need to do it the right way so they know and learn over time and embrace that harsh environment whenever they are ready for it. And like I said, we are quite inspired by a very successful game doing this in a good way, as you many know of, EVE Online, for instance. So yeah, there will be absolutely be some changes along with Epic Game content patches we are deploying after TC. Some of it starts with TC and the rest is coming after TC. And yeah, we do want to give some love to Haven to make sure that new players get a better experience there, take their time there, getting a little bit more into the game, and then when they leave Haven, they're not completely lost. Right now they are quite lost if they haven't read up or know what the game is about. They leave Haven, depending on what city they picked, they're quite lost, and they head out there to be a hero, just like in World of Warcraft, and bam, right into a bear or into Jake, and bam, you know, either they handle that experience and get back on their feet, or it's too rough on them. And we want to make sure that it shouldn't be too rough initially. They need to take slow steps before they can run, right? What do you mean when you say TC? TC is territory control, and that is the next big content patch that allows you to construct cities, set your own rules, services, run a successful city, open or close, private or not, and construct sieging mechanics, claim lands, fight your enemies, and you know, that whole area of the game components will really start to be a game content main area with that patch. A lot of people have been waiting for that since day one, and sadly we haven't been ready to take that step. Now we're getting very close to finally take that step. And yeah, one of the big components was the server capacity in the queue systems. It needs to be had to be a lot more robust and expanded and handle stress in a much better way. And that's what we have done over the latest year, day and night pretty much. And you know, the result will speak for itself. We're breaking world records with big battles, and we are pushing the player numbers on a quite steadily basis lately. And again, it's all on one server, obviously. Griefing players is end game content, and TC will be enhanced griefing. Depends on the rules behind it, right? And the mechanics behind it. When it wasn't really griefing mechanics in the first game, but there were a few areas that wasn't fun enough, logic enough to have as a long-term exciting component. It became a little bit more of a hurdle to siege and defend, rather than having more options to have more meaningful interactions, which I'm quite confident we're going to have a much better experience in Mortal Line 2. And it's based on all that data and feedback over the years. Early on, a vet slaughtered me in the graveyard and style on me. I thought that was spectacular and was encouraged from that to get better. That is very good, Justin. That is a good mindset to have, but everyone doesn't come with that in mind. Sadly, World of Warcraft have ruined too many young people. They told them they are the heroes and no one can kill them because your level says so. And I don't like that mindset, because they get fooled and killed and grumpy. So we slowly need to teach them what the world is all about, right? And we're doing that in Mortal Line, and we will do that. And we can all enjoy Mortal Line over time. It will still not be for everyone, obviously, right? But eventually. Aka lyrics, we talked about that before. You're comparing apples and I'm talking about oranges. You need to compare the same fruit for it to be valid lyrics. We have the world record so far. Even Epic is confirming that. All right, let's see if we can continue with exactly Bear. Good call, good call. As I said, I tried to run these streams in 2 hours and I don't want to go over that time too much. Let me find before I start it. Let's see. 1 moment, guys. I'm gonna start it. Relax. The only problem with running that song is that they mute my video afterwards, right? So we can't use it as a saved VOD vlog video because they mute the whole thing, right? So that's a bit unfortunate. Or I would play some of that, you know? All right, I started the giveaway, guys. So if you type !MO2, you are sign up for your chance for today's giveaway. Just add guards roaming the roads. Speakers should be able to avoid them, but new players sticking to roads could feel safer. There will be some of these added, yes. So near all starting cities, they will be in high security. So this is a little bit like, you know, high security to nullsec in EVE Online. So the further away you go, the less security, right? There will be patrolling guards, there will be outposts, barracks and such. And yeah, as a new player, you can learn to stay close to them and serve that nation to be on a good standings to also get their protection and their goods and bonuses and services, which you won't get if you start going down in their nations. There will be a much finer level of depth with the new nation system with Epic Game Patch, which means you could be outcast and just be allowed to enter a city, but you can't talk to the banks because they will refuse you. You're a son of a bitch, and they say, nope, you're not getting in here. And then you can be in another spectrum that means, oh, sure, go into the castle, visit the emperor, and get some bonuses that no one else can get because holy shit, you are a good citizen of this nation. So there will be a much deeper steps from outcast to, you know, really banned to access to deep access. So there's also something to gain from being really good. You know, if you're really high up there for nation, the Tinremic Empire, for instance, the gods will even bow down to you and say, "Oh my gracious lord, how can I assist you?" And you know, maybe follow you a little bit extra and keep an eye on you. While if you are a bastard, they're gonna say, "Get out of the street, you lazy bum." We actually have some recorded voice acting for this, which is really cool, and it's dependent on your nation standings. The system is there also. There's only a few things that we need to do to enable that system. So hopefully we'll have that system enabled also along with that patch. And like I said, there will be different tiers of access. So in some areas in a city, you may only access if you have the right standings. And then, of course, like I said, outside of the city, there may be a low security area, which is patrolled by guards, some specific guards. There may be some outposts. And yeah, players can decide to obviously be close to these areas to get more protection from the nation. So yeah, absolutely. That is one of the things that is coming with the Epic Patch content. Is the ganking and farming that must be stopped or better regulated? So areas say 1.0 sec, level like in E must mean a big area. Yeah, and like I said, we are obviously heavily inspired because we've seen the issues and the struggle, and that also makes the game harder to grow. The population, it's harder to grow the population if it's just a griefing playground and we don't do anything against it that makes sense and give meaning for both sides. And that is what we want to commit to. So yeah, there will be larger areas near all starting cities that are meant to be safer for new player. You know, it will never be 100% safe. That's something everyone needs to learn because, you know, similar to EVE Online, it's never 100% safe, but close to, depending on where you are, you know. Yeah, there will be different tiers, you could say. And then you also end up into no man's land, which is nullsec, which means if you there's no flagging there. It doesn't matter who you are. If you kill someone, no one knows. You can't report anyone for murder because it's no man's land. So it goes from high security down to no security whatsoever, including no murder count or flagging rules. With the new rep system, will everyone be able to get high rep with faction or their choice, or will the current max reps cap stay in place? No, it will change. Right now we have a very low, both in terms of how you lose and gain. Rep is quite crude. You know, you only have a few action for both, right? And then doing the parcels, and then you either are capped or minus. It's very, there's little depth to it. So with this patch there will be a much longer progression on both sides, and also multiple ways to gain in the nations with different type of tasks. That is also one way to introduce the new players to the game. They're quite lost when they get to Midland, and a more refined, expanded task system will hopefully also help them to get into the game in different ways and also learn the game while doing so. And, you know, they can start in more high security and then slowly go out to nullsec for more risk reward. Apache, we have fixed all that when it comes to server security, Steam checks and so on. So we have dealt with all that. We have everything under control. Currently, what we have left is to make a final update on our servers that will also make sure that we handle DDoS without any issues whatsoever. There's still some issues with DDoS in certain ways where people may be disconnected or stuff like that, or there may be some lag. But we're almost done with that system also, which means it shouldn't be affected whatsoever anymore. So it's good that we get that in place obviously now as well. We plan to do it a bit closer to Epic Games, but we have to do it now pretty much because we take the opportunity to get free DDoS tests. We have an individual that is kind enough to spend money and actually help us with this. So we are very happy to have that support by this individual. Free tests, which is awesome. You know, that usually costs a lot of money. So we take the opportunity and thank this crazy madman that spend money on that. So that's awesome. We all can thank him for that. So we are in a good place, you know? Great. All right, let's give it a few more minutes before we do the giveaway. If you just tune in, !MO2. Don't forget to thank the DDoS. I mean, it's inconvenient for the players, right? If you get disconnected, you know, it's a bad experience. But better now than later, I guess. You know, it's not that often that there are some kind and bad individuals at the same time to help us with free stress attacks. So yeah, we absolutely take the opportunity to address it. That's exactly what I say. yeah, RPM's Gaming. Haven will get a little update as well along with Epic Games. We plan to do some refinement there to improve it for new players. And also eventually, as we mentioned, we plan to make Haven a free-to-play start. So to help marketing game for even more players in the future, it's a very powerful tool to allow people to jump into the game for free, right? And get a taste for it. And they can play. The plan is to make Haven free-to-play, so they can play there with some limitations on skills and clay levels and so on, but more refined adventure on Haven, so they get a little bit better taste of what Mortal Island has to offer before they may want to commit to go to Milan, where the real adventure starts. Most players are from US, but so we have, last time I checked, I haven't checked lately, but we were around 34% from US. So yeah, it's one of the biggest country for sure, but not the majority when it comes to our player base. That's good. RPM's Gaming. The PC implements feint to parry keybind, God of Life, where if you are charging an attack, you can press the parry button to feint and then parry from neutral. Full weapon control on mouse. Also an option to make left mouse button to right left only, please. We are trying to collect what makes most sense and see if we can offer those options to give best possible control for everyone that want to play the game. So I think we already have that one on the list as one of the proposed options. So we will see when we can make that happen. Nice, that makes me happy, and probably a lot more people from Mortal. Yeah, yeah, a lot of people obviously coming from those games have some specific preferences that they got used to, right? Make mouse wheel change FOV. You want to be able to do that on the run? Is it when you switch between ranged and melee or what? The thing is possible to use Tobii eye tracker to use your eyes to block an attack inside a look at. I guess it is possible, yes, but reliable is the question. Imagine if you have that twitch in your eyes. I mean, most of those things are possible to support, but yeah, we have to look at our long prior of things, right? Mad God Kyle, I played the original MO and I'm curious, what is currently will be into that is going that sets it apart above and beyond the original? Well, the first most important thing is that the core is day and night improved. The first game was a pioneer out of its league in terms of doing crazy things that was impossible back then, and we struggled hard with the core network solution, the old engine that was fighting against us. It was very hard to make everything on an acceptable level. So we had a lot of hardcore players that enjoyed it, got used to it, and obviously the first experience was quite unique and refreshing, right? But the later year we struggle a lot to get any new player to actually even want to try it, or some say it looks way too bad and what the hell, the combat feels often broken. We had the minimum latency in the server was 800 milliseconds, and then we added the distance on top of that. So everything come down to abuse the prediction system back then. Today, all nations worldwide can compete in various ways, quite close to each other, with some specific differences depending on latency. But that 800 ms have gone down to 1.2 ms. So you can understand it's a huge difference on everything: responsiveness, the combat system, interest, draw, distance, range. We have the world furthest currently. The accuracy on things, smooth running rather than warping. So that core being so greatly improved obviously makes the foundation much more stable, along with obviously better graphics and more polished things. Makes new players excited and interested, and we see on a daily basis a new player that knows what this game is all about, so they don't get shocked because they were expecting WoW. A lot of them really enjoy Mortal Online 2, which they couldn't in the first game. So already there, obviously there's a big core difference that make the game much better and suitable for the long run, and make both new and old players being able to enjoy, be excited about the game. And then of course we are also finally able to get rid of a lot of restrictions that we had in the old game that forced us to take shortcuts and make jerky fixes, because again the engine worked against us, the network solution wasn't as robust. So along with that, we can finally make the design how we wished and desired from the old design, and don't have to do these janky shortcuts to make it somewhat working. So the future is very bright. We're already in a very exciting position. We have quite a bit more things that we wanna and we need to solve and improve, which is we have a list of bugs obviously we absolutely need to fix, so we make sure that the bugs isn't in the face on the players. And overall performance optimization we're working on currently, stepping on to Unreal Engine 5. The network's capacity, we are very close to hit our milestone there, which will give us the very exciting, impressive numbers. Again, not really seen in other games in the same category. So the future is super bright, starting with TC already for those that knows what Mortal Online is all about, I would say. And then it starts for the rest of the world with the Epic Game release. That is where we open up the gates again for the masses. We have the new player experience, a better criminal system that support the players, and a more populated, exciting world, and a more refined, polished world. So I would say it's two big phases for us now moving forward. The TC, which we're getting closer to. All veterans that ever touched Mortal Online and knows what it's all about, they're really looking for this one, and they will enjoy that part a lot. And then the Epic Games will be for everyone. That's when a new player gets really introduced in a proper way, polished overall more, and hopefully a lot of new players will just flood the game and enjoy the game, and we open up marketing again. And yeah, we have a very bright future from then moving forward. And we can slowly moving into completely new feature that we never got to be able to deliver in the first old game with the old engine and tech. So very exciting future for a true sandbox lover, I would say. And I can't wait, because this is my passion. I hope that kind of answers your question. MOT is on sale right now. It is indeed, and it's a big spring sale, right? 40% off, and it's until, what is it? Tomorrow, or is it today? Tomorrow. I don't remember the last date, but yeah, it's almost running out. So if you're on the edge, you have a very good opportunity to get the game for a very good price. 40% off. Passion, indeed. And it depends on ping meter in the game. So our ping doesn't work the same way as any other FPS shooter game does, like Counter-Strike or such. So what we thought about is actually adding a ping meter that give the status within the ping normalization system. And I think that will help the players to understand that, okay, I'm a little bit outside of the ping normalization optimal range, therefore it's not optimal for me. or you are within the ping normalization threshold, so you play the game just as anyone else. And there's been a huge debate on this, and it's never going to end. And you're going to have different opinions depending on who's talking about it, and it will always be like that. There are various specific differences depending on your latency, and obviously for packet loss or stuff like that, that will have an impact depending on the action you do in the game. It's a day and night difference from the first game, and we had a different type of prediction system then, and it was just something else. So now we are very close to the only limitation we have now with our ping normalization system is mostly affected by the pairing system part of it, and it's limited by fiber optic speed, the latency to travel, for the data to travel across the world. Our software is so optimized that it doesn't add on top of that, pretty much. Like I said, 1 millisecond or so. In the old engine we had, in the old network we had 800 milliseconds as a minimum threshold, which is insane difference, as you can understand. And that is also the explanation of how the hell can Australian players compete as a melee fighter. It's unheard of and shouldn't be possible, and they couldn't in the first game, but they actually can now. There's still difference, as I said, on a parry component, because you can't really ping normalize that in the same way as a strike. A strike can be synchronized in a specific way, but not the parry system. And that is also the reason why we have a parry window. So everyone have this window when you can parry, and that window is a little bit shorter due to the what the latency distance eats. It's still there, but it's shorter. They can't compete now. Any players lag too much? No, it's not true. Like I said, we have 34% from America, and we also have a function on the server that shows all these players, and they show what latency brackets they are in, and that can show all of the players that are within the ping normalization system, and that is a majority. Obviously it depends if you're East Coast or West Coast, right? Because that's where you are the furthest or the closest to the server. But that's a false statement. North American players can absolutely enjoy and compete. It depends, like I said, on where you are on North America and the parry window. There's a difference, absolutely. There are maybe some things we want to try down the road to help improve this, but not currently. And this is also why people mix up their styles. They adapt to it, they learn it, and become good at it. And some also as in magic traces to also have full control over their gaming experience. Yeah, there's a difference between East and West Coast. We see it in real life monitor. As I said, we have tools to see who is affected by it and not. And it's absolutely not all the American players, as some may claim. I don't know if you are from the West Coast that thinks everyone has it like that. I don't know. I can't answer what people think, though. I can only look at who is in what brackets. All right, final minutes on the giveaway. Explanation mark MO2, and then let's run it. I'm getting close to 2 hours, guys. God forbid a video game has a little flaw. And this is the game that is the absolutely biggest challenge of all games. So yes, it will have flaws, it will have struggles and issues, but we are making it damn close to as good as it possibly can with the tech we have today. And yeah, it will never be perfect. That's absolutely correct, because it's impossible today. But like I said, it should be close enough to good enough to be very enjoyable and very unique compared to any other game. TC. Epic patch has so much included. Won't that be a mess with all the new players at the same time? No, so we're taking it in 2 steps before we actually make the release on Epic Games. So yeah, we won't make the patch and the release the same day, because obviously that will be very nervous. So we have it in a very specific setup before we open the gates. Should allow a donation option to donate a coffee for some of the devs. Mad King, that sounds awesome. Are there any plans to let us grow our own plants in player homes or outside? Also press when. Rude Faith, yes, the farming system is what you describe, and that is tied to TC. It will most likely not make it in the first batch of TC components, because it's not one of those critical components that we all need to construct a city. But it will be one of the constructions you will be able to build and use those functions to both grow your own crops and plants, but also use a farm to breed your animals. So again, that's one of the things we want to know. What is the interest after that patch? What areas would you like to see next? And we will try to make that happen. That would be perfect. We had a perfect patch, sir. Did we have a perfect patch? Which one? I mean, we had many good patches, surprisingly stable and at warp speed, especially during the whole beta. It was like 1 year of development in almost every patch, every few weeks, which was insane, and many of those were very, very stable, which was quite insane. Epic patch will absolutely be a shit show for weeks. We will see. You know, we obviously, like I said, we know that we can't repeat the same mistakes and issues we had with the Epic, with the Steam release, right? And what's important is that we identified all those areas, and I think we'll be so much more prepared in a better state to handle more players again. And with that said, we are also working out our plan B that will be ready for that date. So if shit hits the fans, we will enable plan B to be able to handle it much faster and efficiently. Can we get any footage from TC or Uran 5? Yes, very soon. We are working on some things we want to show you very soon, very soon. So we're gonna show you some Unreal 5 stuff, and also some of the future contents that ties to some of this. Will the server be wide for the TC patch? No. The game is persistent and will be persistent for my lifetime if things goes the right way. Are there any plans to change pairing to be more compatible with this ping normalization system? These specific things has been complained for such a long time, so it's nice to see Star Wars actually talk about it instead of pretending it doesn't exist. It absolutely exists, and we know that there's a big struggle with the parry system, and our so-called solution for it was the parry window. So we know it at least are there for all latencies. But yeah, it's not optimal. We fully understand that. Obviously, having a bigger window is some kind of advantage, right? We have discussed it, and there may be some possibility to help improve it, but we don't dare to jump into that now and spend a lot of time on it because we're not sure how that will play out. And obviously, we know we need to fix bugs, polish, and TC first of all, before we can try to push some of those components further than we have them today. No 8 on a TC patch at this point. 10,000 from Epic buy and play, M2 is foobar. So it depends. Again, when talking about numbers, it's always a struggle to talk about the same kind of numbers. So again, are we talking about simultaneously players? Are we talking about people, 10,000 people buying the game and playing naturally over time? That's completely different cases. And I would say that if 10,000 buys it and play it over time, we shouldn't have major issues handling that. If we have 10,000 players getting it now on 1 minute and all of those players want to log in at the same time and play, that's a completely different type of stress on the server. And yeah, that's when we need to deploy our possible plan B if that is the case. If we have 10,000 extra additional that want to play this next very minute, then we are looking into deploying patch or plan B to allow them to play the game also. Because as you know, 10,000 plus players online on Meerland will most likely be a shit show. The space is not physically there to support 10,000 players. But if we have 10,000 players simultaneously, that means we have roughly more than 10 times active players, which is a very big amount of player base, right? So it all depends on what kind of numbers we're looking at and talking about. No, I mean, our cap is in 2,000. I don't know if someone think that is a cap anymore. I mean, we are quite a bit above 2,000 now already on a daily basis. We have a few more than the Steam chart is saying, and we have no stress whatsoever with those numbers. Again, I don't want to mention where we're looking at realistically, how many players. We are still doing specific tests with the new network solution we have running live to see what those numbers are tuning down to, so we know exactly how many we can allow during the floodgates and prepare to know when we need to start plan B. All right, how do I get the giveaway? You type exclamation mark MO2 and I will roll it in a few seconds here. I'm just gonna scroll down and yeah, all these questions puts me on a side path from pulling the giveaway. Yes, wagons is planned for later. More mounts, mountable creatures and wagons is planned for later. All right, let's roll it, guys. It is time. It is time. TC is territory control. I think you should upload yourself to AI so you can develop ammo forever. Indeed, indeed. Eventually we can do that, right? All right, giveaway time. If 100k wanna play at the same time, we need to start servers, multiple ones. This game is a scam, Groover's mass. No, it's not a scam. If you try to Google the definition of a scam, you will educate yourself and understand that this is a serious listed company that have been working on this for 16 years, and we offer something unique that people love and some hate. And you're one of them. So go ahead and find yourself a new game. That's perfectly fine, because we want people that want to play a true sandbox game here, not some clowny shit. All right, thank you for your awesome feedback. But you can't scare away our players. They know it's not a scam, and they don't give a F about your suggestions for refunds because they found a game. Just like, you know, many others. Groovy Mass, how many times should I have to tell you? It's enough with your awesome comment that you don't like the game, but it's not a scam. You can leave and play WoW or whatever you want. We don't care, we don't cry. You know, you can do whatever you want. You can refund the game if you don't like it. But get out and play something else or touch some grass. We don't care. We don't care. We're happy with this game and community, right? Go play some WoW. Alright? Or he's been banned for cheating. Yeah, that's a classic one. It's one of those two. Either they are completely lost and thought they were buying WoW and didn't read a single sentence about the game, or they were busted cheating. That's a more common thing actually. When get busted cheating, they turn hard and wanna show them the nastiest word they can come up with. And they have to write on cool forums and feel how powerful they are when they got busted for being a criminal piece of shit, cheating in a game, ruining it for others. Alright? We don't hold grudges. We just don't tolerate it. Alright, giveaway time. With that said, I'm rolling the dice, guys. So good luck, everyone. Here goes. What is the best game for this playstyle? I love this game, all of it. Tell us how you really feel, Henrik. I just did. Alright. And can I join a guild? We'll see, we'll see. Giveaway is running. Good luck, everyone. Next week, new shot. Alright, let's go. Alright, that little kid can't behave, so let's ban his ass to mama. Alright? It's that simple. Congratulations. Time on twos. Time on deuce. All right, let's see if he is here. Rigged, eh? Ban this guy, please. Yeah, he's banned, I think. Some kids can't behave. It's crazy. What is he? 12 years. Not even a teenager. It's crazy. The cool kids, you know? The cool kids. There's always some cool kids that were bullied. And they have to bully. Let's see. Timu and those. Are you here? Let's see. Timu and Theus, are you here? Is here? Alright. So alright, great. Got a DM there. Great. Let's give you the key. One moment. Boop. There you are, Timu and Deus, veteran or noob or semi, you know, the normal giveaway question. Timu, how old mortal years? Are you new to the game, Timo? I'm new. Amazing game. Welcome, Escott. Awesome to see new players on a daily basis finding their way to Mortal Online, even though we are not 100% there to open the floods for new players, but it's still a very good time to get into the game and learn about the game. And yeah, we have a discount today as well for those that are on the edge. Mobile loud. I'm new too. Awesome to hear that. Was Timo new or what? Did I miss the response? Ghost Roar. I tried your game and it seems very empty to me. Maybe I didn't understand something. Gore So it depends heavily on where you go in the world, right? And yes, one of the big components with Epic Game release or the Epic Game patch is that we're gonna populate the world with a lot more creatures, roaming bandits and mounts. So that will change absolutely. But yeah, it depends so heavily on where you go in the world. It's quite a large world it consumes. We actually have 34,000 creatures on Milan currently. It sounds a lot, but on that size, it just consumes them, right? So we do plan to add more. He said he might give the game to his friend. Ah, I see. Okay, Ezra TV. Thank you. Yep, that's awesome. Did I win an ammo copy? Unfortunately not, but I have a shot pretty much every week. Is it not new, but they might give it a... Yeah. Yeah, I missed it. Sorry. Permanent Haven was empty. Yeah. Well, yeah. Haven is also going to get a little love and revamp updates with the Epic patches. We have identified exactly what new player experience, what their feedback are, and obviously also from the veterans that are seeing a lot of this, right? So I think we have, like I said before, a very clear path what will go in to help some of these areas, both the new player experience, some of the information handholding, the task system, the protection, and then yeah, more population of everything added to Milan. So I think that you will absolutely notice a difference with those patches being deployed. There will be more horse spawners, some more Molva spawners, so it's a little bit easier to find them in the different areas in the world also. And of course, you know, we do have to prepare to, of course we can always tweak them, but along with the breeding system, farmings, obviously people will be able to bring a pack of horses and breed more horses and make a business around that. So obviously we don't want to overpopulate the world so there's horses left and right, so there's no market for it. There's a really good market for horses now, as I'm sure most of you know, and we don't want to wreck a player market, a player-driven market. But we will absolutely improve things. Thanks again for everything, Henrik. Off to Haven I go. Good luck, Kaleno. Thank you. Fartmaster, when with Mounted Archer and Melee Fighters get some Shalik. With the special abilities, that will be... I'm guessing it will be high rated in the community, so it will be probably one of the first after Epic. But that's just my guess. But it seems to be a common request. Jungle needs more horse spawns. Yeah, I think jungle overall will have quite a lot more roaming stuff and some horses spawners, yes. Yeah, bandits, like I said, roaming bandits will be added all over Milan. Will Unreal 5 improve performance? Yes, along with the Unreal 5 patch, we will have options, overall improvements, but there will also be options for, depending on if you have next generation hardware, you can utilize some really fancy visuals. Dudakai, thank you for the gifts. Appreciate it. Having to wait, search for 30 minutes to find a horse, then lose it in 2 hours, having to suicide because you walked 2 hours. Yeah, like I said, we're gonna make sure there are more options to find horses out in the world. And along with TC, I'm quite sure you're gonna run into more open cities. You can, run your own city. And I'm quite sure, because the bonus that they get from having a popular open city, and it's also gonna be fun to run them, I'm quite sure you're gonna have maybe new areas that you're hanging out that have access to a lot of common things other than just NPC cities currently. That's one of the purpose with TC also, right? Spread out the players, be able to obtain more players on Milan also. What makes you decide not to answer these posts, Henrik? I wonder, please stop spirits from jumping around like bad coding. Make them stationary or at least move fluidity. I never try to ignore any questions. I try to respond most of them once and then I have to move on, right? I'm not sure about your feedback here though. Bad coding, fluid, spirits. I'm not sure about that. Give players a store where they can sell their pets and horses, and they will. They do sell horses on all brokers in all cities in the world just as candy. They go extremely well on the brokers. It's very cool data. It's almost that, in one way we want to share some of the data so we can see all the economy and moving around. It's very exciting. It's a little bit like EVE Online, the player-driven market is enormous. I'm gonna prepare some updates with Unreal Engine 5, some progression there, and soon also I'm gonna show a little bit TC. That is the plan, yes. Might as well call horses candy. Indeed. In player tons, I mean. Yeah. We plan to expand TC cities to have pretty much everything NPC city can offer. And I guess more over time, depending on what you would like to see, right? So yeah, we want you to be able to run your own successful cities, your own shops, maintain them. We have some really cool mechanics behind them as well. I mentioned a little bit of it before with the supply runs. We are ironing out those details now, trying to get the numbers to, fit. And I plan to soon go through this so people know how it's gonna work in general. So that, you can start prepare for that journey with TC, because obviously, like I said, there's a few new mechanics that we didn't have in the first game that are there to help and improve and make more exciting play interaction and conflicts and different events. Horse prices go crazy. Did you manage to fully mitigate the DDoS attack? Server feels much more stable except a couple of hours last night. Yeah, we have made a lot of progression when it comes to handling the DDoS attacks, as I mentioned a bit before in the stream. There's one component that we know gonna put us in a very good spot when we're fully done with that. We are almost there. When will we finally get magic staff? Dude that cries 3 times a week waiting for them. If you vote on staff magic as the one after this magic, it will happen in the upcoming roadmap most likely. We've been talking for a year of TC updates while game has still 3 instances. What? The game hasn't 3 instances. Kraken 7 up. I think you're mistaken by another game. It's correct that we had to postpone TC. We planned to have it shortly after release, but release didn't work, so we had to fix the core. And now when the core is fixed, we can go back to TC and release TC, and that's what we're getting very close to now. But the game doesn't have 3 instances. The game have 1 world server and is far from its max capacity currently. That's what we've been working on so hard over the last year. Were you a part of M1? What do you mean? If I'm a part of M1? I'm the designer behind Mortal Online 1 and 2, yes, and the CEO of the company, and I started the company. If that's what you mean. So I've been here for 16 plus years. It's been a long journey, and here we are today, finally, with light in the tunnel. It's not been a easy walk, that I can tell you, and I'm sure you that have been with us for these years have also witnessed that. But yeah, finally it's paying off. All the hard work, the team have been amazing, killing it. Just compared to some of the giant projects in the world, I'm extremely proud of what the team managed to do. With so little resources we have in comparison, it's quite impressive and amazing, I think. I'm very proud, at least. 3 instances still selectable in login screen. Not sure if they work, but they're shown. Yeah, no, they do nothing. They don't. It was a long time ago we disabled those, but yeah, they're still there. We're looking into a plan B solution. So we just left them there, and we're gonna update them whenever we take that step later down the road. Can we get more points of interest in Vara? The whole world will get more stuff in general. There are still some areas that are completely missing points of interest. We try to take one area at a time, right? And there's a few still missing that we're gonna deploy along with the Epic. I think I'm in dungeons. We don't have any instance dungeon. We have no instance whatsoever in our game. It's one of our unique things, right? Compared to many other games. Most other MMOs and games, online games, have heavily instanced content, lobbies, areas, cities, dungeons. We don't have a single instance in Nave, which is very exciting also, I think. We don't have an exact server capacity at this point. We're still doing some heavily testing and stressing the servers in certain ways and collecting data. We have 1 component left that we haven't pushed live yet, which we only have on the test servers, and that will help us to identify a much more accurate max capacity in general. We don't want to mention these numbers at this point in time because of obvious reasons, right? But hopefully we will reach the numbers we have set as our bar for a size like the continent like Mirland. So we will use that as a reference for upcoming continents. It doesn't look internal was if you spirit farm the spirits now jump around like a glitch. I mean the spirits that you shoot at, is that what I mean? If that they are not smooth. Squarely will new fish rod be added soon. We'll try to add the rods. I can't say when at this point in time. We got a little distracted with some of the crap going on lately, which we have to address. And obviously it interferes a little bit with our focus on TC that we want to deliver. And we need a few coders to handle the implementation in the crafting parts of the rods. So we have them finished for that. So we will have to see when it's suitable to add a little fishing pack. Yes, I was unaware if you took over or your background. The real summer, I see. No, I've been here since day one pretty much. I'm coming from Ultima Line, beta testing team, back in the days, 96. Played Ultima Line for 10 plus years. Heavily addicted to that new type of online experience. And then WoW changed that route path completely for the world population, and I'm here to bring it back to the old school, real experience where you have to really use your brain and interact and be social or not, and just, you know, be creative and enjoy a real online gaming experience. That's what I want to deliver with Molten Online. I'm not saying that, you know, WoW is a bad game. Obviously extremely successful. That's why everyone is cloning it, right? But I think they lost track of what a true MMO should also be about, and I'm missing a lot of that from the good old days. And I see a lot of people also think the same thing, and I also see new games being extremely popular that are also touching these kind of gaming elements like Rust, Tarkov, Valheim, you know. So it's very exciting. It's an exciting future for this type of MMO, I think, and I hope. And together we will put Molten Line 2 on the world map, and hopefully we will have a lot of more exciting content to choose from in the future. That's my hope, at least. Who's the second longest employee? I think that would be Sebastian, Farmer Joe. My good old lead coder, which is obviously now a master, or I would say grandmaster, when it comes to coding a very complex game such as Molten Online 2. It's so different from making a single player game, or, you know, that doesn't need a large scale network solution. It's a huge challenge, and sometimes it's pure pain, but it's also what makes it never ending and somewhat exciting and refreshing, depending on all the new features over time that we got to work with. Right. Did you see the cult of the Chickaboom on Vera stream? We were having too much fun. Fate Pepper, I saw it, yes. It was awesome to see. Very awesome to see. It even makes the team more motivated to add things in the game that gets affected by the players. It's really cool. And we are, you know, so much in control of the game that we can do that kind of thing, which is really awesome and one of a kind, I think. So yeah, it was cool. And yeah, regarding that, I'm actually trying to collect some really cool videos from the community that I want to share with everyone on Steam. So yeah, I'm scouting for some cool video sections to put together as a community made gaming content. So I'm gonna try to get some of that. The cult was cool to see, you know, it's one of a kind. I want to see that's firecracker that some groups made over, what was it, Meduli or Bakti, I don't remember, but it looked so awesome when you saw them fly over the city. Everyone was watching up from the sky. I want to get some of those big coalition act battles that was also crazy awesome to watch, and some cool elementalism action, of course. So if you have any of that, feel free to post that to me, and we can make a little community showcase of what the game has to offer from the players, by the players, you know. The game has come a long way, Henrik. You guys are doing good work. Took a break recently and the game just keeps better. Henrik, all we ask is when the game reaches its peak, you need to go live and tell all the haters to duck your chickaboom. Indeed, indeed. There is always be haters, right? But they're not taking us down. Quite the opposite. They motivate us to make it even better and show them how incredible wrong they are. Right? All right, I'm jumping down a little bit more as a last run here. So I see if we have anything we want to cover. Amazing game, Henrik. Thank you for hard work. I was curious if there will ever be portal to travel around the world, like from a mage or something. We're very careful about that. We have a lot of discussion about that also, why, and a lot of that would change heavily with TC. So I think we need to focus on delivering TC as good as possible, and then we will see how traveling hotspots interaction will be affected by TC, because it absolutely will. And then we will see a little bit. So we do plan to look into possible alliance, so you can have your home priest, your base priest, alliance priest. We are looking into some of those options. But like I said, we are quite careful because a lot of things are at stake when it comes to transporting and traveling heavy goods and such when TC arrives. Supply runs and so on. So we want to make sure we don't interfere with that, at least. Fishing is one of the best part of the game, to be honest. Need to keep it fresh. It's an awesome system, and yeah, it's really cool to see we have a lot of active fishermen in the game that having a, you know, enjoying that part of the game, which is really awesome to see. Foot combat needs some love, and they will get that with a special ability move system after Epic. My neck is slowly reaching its limits, guys. Yeah, I've seen that bug with the horse sinking at the bottom when swimming. It's not intended, and I thought someone said it's only in a specific area in the world. So, and I don't know if the team have got more information than that, and they know more than me right now. But that's the latest I heard, at least, that it was a specific area it happened on. But if it's everywhere, so we can reproduce it directly simple, then obviously that will help us make it easier. Wow, killed everything. It changed a lot, that's for sure. We just need 10 Farmer Joes working non-stop. Indeed. I mean, I think the team, you know, have gone very far. The team developers we have is really good. You know, they obviously get better and better and more into the whole development and adapting to that and really contributing. So it's really great to see. Can't go anywhere without getting destroyed by 5 people. Yeah, so like I said, there's going to be the security system, a little bit similar to EVE Online, so you will have more areas where there are less risk reward, and then obviously out in the wild with more risk reward. Specific content for interactions and PvP and so on, that hopefully will help this quite a bit. And I mean, it's a large world also, right? So depending on where on the world, depends heavily on that also. Mana 5-year celebration fireworks. Ah, that's it. So the Mana 5-year celebration was what I saw on a stream. It just looks so cool. People just watched it. Looks like fireworks indeed over the sky. Such a cool thing, right? I mean, yeah, you know, I couldn't have even imagined that that's something you can do, but yeah, it's so cool. So I want a shot of that if possible. If we have some epic shots of that, I want to make a nice footage from the community to show what people are doing in Mortal 9, right? The act footage is not going to look good with everyone, especially those who were recording getting 90 FPS. Well, what I saw was some really epic stuff. You know, obviously with 400 plus players on the screen, without, you know, these new systems that we're going to add later on, there's no game in the world that runs with 60 FPS with this high visual level, so many polygons, materials in Unreal Engine 4 and 5 soon, with such a complex real-time combat tracing system with magic arrows flying all over the place. There's no game in the world that runs better FPS at this point in time. So it was kind of expected that obviously if you have those, all those on your screen, FPS gonna be the hits, right? But what was the magic there was that the holy shit, the server handled it. The network handled that like a walk in the park, and that is extremely impressive. And there has been doubters, even today there's doubters that say, no, Mortal 9 can't support a big battle. You know, it dies with 100 people. No, we have the world record. We reached around 450 players during that battle, and it was flawless on the server side and network side. The downside was the FPS hit for the clients, yes. But I also watched Jake's stream, and he was actually around 30 FPS, and he also have the next generation CPUs, obviously hardware bound, right? But yeah, we have a system that we're going to add that will increase the FPS even in those mad numbers that no one can compete with. So yeah, you can expect to see better than that. But I still saw some very epic encounters and just awesome experience and reaction from the players that it just has to be shared with the world, because there's nothing else. It's a one-of-a-kind event, and people were loving it, and so were me and the team when watching it. It gave a thrill, adrenaline kick, and it's just awesome. I want to have that. I want to have that. I want to show the world. I'm gonna make a Chickaboo montage soon. That's awesome, Etik. Yeah, we're gonna have the die system sooner or later that will allow you to die also the bags, and we want to allow you to name the bags. I can't say when. We will see in what patch it fits. Every new patch game is becoming more and more epic. Situation will soon become out of control. I hope you are ready for the horde of addicted players. That's what we've been working on so hard this year, because we know that obviously we absolutely need to be able to have a lot of players on Milan, so it feels enough populated, and we're happy enough with the maximum amount of numbers before we need to, you know, proceed spreading players on additional continents, right? I just finished up a video of some crazy elements in Spider Cave from last night. Want to see? Sure, you can link it. I will watch it. We get an indicator of what weapon is currently equipped soon, please. Yeah, that's a very good quality of life. I have it on my quality of life list. We're gonna select what's possible in the upcoming patches, and then obviously the rest will come in the upcoming after there. Thanks. Thank you for awesome game. Thank you, Panzadog. Also, Henrik, please. It has been a year since housing and chests were introduced. Give it some love. Make stuff in chests being able to split. Make access policy for different chests. Yeah, obviously, we're fully aware of that. Not being able to split in a chest. You know, you may think, "What? Come on, Star Wars. Why haven't you made this possible over since it was added?" Because it's a high quality of life thing, right? The problem is how the system works and handle it for us again to have an optimized game world. Sadly, some of those restrictions make it not just a quick thing and walk in the park, because, you know, obviously we would like to have that, right? So some of those things need to be plan and design and rearranged in the systems, and that just takes time from our core developers such as Sebastian and our coders, which is quite precious when it comes to rearranging the schedule. But that one is also absolutely one of the quality of life function that sooner or later we absolutely need to have it, because it doesn't make sense not to have it, right? I mean, we all would like to have it tomorrow, but it's not a quick thing to change any code to make it happen, sadly. Love the game. 1 year is making housing and decoration more complex. Yeah, over time it will have much more decoration and functions and styles to choose from. When poker, please. I want poker as fast as we possibly can. I can't wait to sit and play Texas Hold'em with you guys, but I can't say when at this point. Again, we will see. Depending on, there will be some different things to vote from: magic, RP elements, PvP elements, combat elements, and so on, TC elements. And if we see that the poker stuff like that are some high valued votes, then we will make it happen sooner rather than later. Right, I'm gonna jump down one final time. I'm not sure how behind I am, and I'm quite behind. Game chat with Alliance Guild at some point. Yes, at some point. And plans to expand Team servers? Not at this point. No, poker should add mortal themed chess. I mean, over time we can have any table game, right? Not only poker, there can be chess. Thank you, Bill Bounty. I will take a look. Will engineering have tons of things to construct a TC release, or will it be fairly limited until more TC patches? There will be a good chunk of baseline function for anyone to start building and construct their own city, design the city, and hire the different services to run your own city, just like any NPC city. And then set up your security and maintain it and make it successful. And there will be a lot of cool stats and functions to run around with for you as a city owner and the guild. And then over time, we plan to expand this with farming, breeding, and anything that you also may suggest that simply fits and works for our game. So yeah, there will absolutely be some bonuses with this first pack that TC will offer. All right, folks. I'm sorry if I seem to ignore questions. I really don't try to ignore anything. I try to respond to everything once, and then, you know, people log out and new people arrive and they ask the same questions, and it may seem like I'm ignoring them, but I really try not to, right? That's also why I try to keep it at 2 hours, make a recap, because people join and leave, and I just sitting here repeating myself eventually. I don't want to bore people out, right, with that also. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, anyway, I'm almost 3 hour mark now, so I'm already failed on my 2 hour mark today, which I'm trying to get into, you know, as a tradition to run it around 2 hours instead. So I think this is my cue for today. So let me do our traditional raid. Let's see, who do we have streaming today? I'm gonna make a little poll for you guys, and I will make it happen. as usual. See some new streamer faces lately. That's nice. That's nice. Okay. These are options for today, guys. Cast your vote. 1 minute. Just in time to miss the giveaway. Oh gosh. You have a pretty much new shot every week so far. We are on 102nd or 4th stream. So quite a few shots actually. Giving out over 100 game copies on our weekly streams so far. Dalreth, a good guy. All right, let's see. An alliance in game. We have an alliance in game already. You can have friend and foe. Right, squirrely, squitterly. I spelled that a little strange, but I assume it's squirrely, right? Our master fisherman. And the real question is, are you actually good at the combat in this? So during combat beta, when we started to crank things up, I was running daily combats, right? And I had weekly group fights with the community, and I enjoyed it so much. It was so fun, and I'm missing that time because I haven't had time to do that anymore because I'm working on other things in the game, right? And it's been so flooded with the schedule since release. It's been chaos non-stop, and I just want to deliver the game as good as possible for TC and Epic Games, right? The big milestones. So yeah, I will admit that I'm absolutely out of shape when it comes to melee fighting at this point. I've been doing it way too little and too few times every now and then, which obviously puts me out of shape, right? So I'm not in the top anymore. I can say that with confidence. I used to be up in the top during the combat beta, and I put some big names to shame in front of a whole squad. But yeah, it was quite a while ago. So I don't know how I measure up at this day in time compared to you guys that are doing it more frequently. I mean, this is a game where you absolutely need to practice and have those muscle memories and have the skills refreshed, right? Last time I was playing, I even had reset my whole key binding, so everything was completely lost, and I didn't even remember how did I used to have it, and I was quite lost. So obviously, I need to spend some time to set that again and refresh my skills. And if I do spend a few on that, I'm quite sure I'm gonna be a bit up again on the world list. But it would be strange if you wouldn't beat me. That obviously combat much more than I do. But I wish I had more time, and I would love to do it more. It's just a struggle with the time, right? There's only so many hours at the day, and I also need to sleep and eat and such. So, but hopefully I will be able to get some more action back in the game. I will love to do it, absolutely. I love a good fair fight. A group fight is really fun. So you will see me on the battlefield again sooner or later, 100%. And let's see, right? All right. It's squilly time. Let's get that raid button. Where do we have it? There. All right, guys. I want to thank you all. Want to thank you all for participating today. Thanks for your questions, your donations, and yeah, I'm getting closer to show you some progression, some exciting things with Unreal Engine 5, and we have some big things coming very close. So exciting times for Mortal Online and Star Wars in this time. Very exciting to see your response on things also. So all right, stream raid to Squell then. Our master Milan Fisherman. Let's give him pay him a visit, follow him, and if you haven't been fishing Immortal before, listen to this guy and try it out, because it's a one-of-a-kind fishing system. It's really awesome. It has a lot of depth, and you can do a lot of good things with it and profit things in different ways. It's really cool. All right, thank you very much, and I will see you on the next stream. Good night.